A few moments later.
"20 surprising moments that reveal the real Vladimir Putin." Alright, let's be honest, when you think of Vladimir Putin, words like surprising and unpredictable probably aren't the first things that come to mind. You probably picture a stern-faced man in a suit, riding a horse shirtless, or maybe even dismantling a nuclear warhead with his bare hands, all while maintaining that signature icy glare. And look, you wouldn't be entirely wrong, but beneath that carefully cultivated exterior lies a man of contradictions, a leader who keeps the world guessing. We've all seen the headlines, the power plays, the geopolitical chess matches that Putin seems to orchestrate with an almost unnerving calmness. But what about the moments that don't make it onto the nightly news? The glimpses of humanity, awkwardness, and yes, even humor that reveal a side to Putin we rarely see. Over the next few minutes, we're going to delve into 20 of those moments. We'll witness Putin's softer side, his love for animals, sometimes at the expense of terrified world leaders, his passion for his country, and his often baffling interactions with other world leaders. So buckle up, because we're about to take a wild ride through the world of Vladimir Putin, one surprising moment at a time.
Anyone who does not accept the deal must leave.
Let's start this party!
Number 1, canine diplomacy, Putin's political play. Picture this, it's 2007. The setting is a formal meeting between Vladimir Putin and then German Chancellor Angela Merkel. Tensions, as they often are between these two countries, are running high. Now, you might expect some tense negotiations, maybe a strongly worded statement or two. But what does Putin do? He brings in his Labrador, Coney. Now, this wouldn't be so bad except for one tiny detail. Angela Merkel is terrified of dogs, and you can tell Putin knows it. The photos from this meeting are truly something to behold. Merkel is visibly uncomfortable, stiffly perched on the edge of her seat as Coney sniffs around her. Putin, meanwhile, sits there with a smirk, seemingly relishing in Merkel's discomfort. Was it a power move, a bizarre joke, a complete lack of awareness? Honestly, it's Putin, so it could be all three. Whatever his intentions, one thing's for sure. It's an unforgettable display of, let's call it, unconventional diplomacy. Number 2, a touching encounter, Putin's moment of empathy. In a stark contrast to the previous scene, this moment reveals a different facet of Putin, one of unexpected tenderness. In 2018, during a visit to a technology exhibition, Putin met a young blind journalist. This journalist had developed an extraordinary ability to see the world through touch, using his hands to perceive and understand his surroundings. Putin, clearly intrigued, approaches with a gentleness we rarely see from him. He engages in a conversation, asking insightful questions about the journalist's unique perspective and experiences, and for a moment, the usual barriers of power and formality seem to melt away. What's striking about this interaction is the genuine curiosity and respect Putin displays. He listens intently as the journalist describes his world, his fingers tracing the contours of Putin's face in a moment of profound connection. It's a reminder that even amidst the theater of global politics, human connection can still be found in the most unexpected places. Number 3, Putin's Judo masterclass, taking down more than opponents. Now, we all know Putin enjoys a good display of masculinity, the shirtless horseback riding, the bare-chested fishing trips, the general air of "don't mess with me" that he seems to exude. But in this clip, we see that tough guy persona put to a more wholesome use. We find Putin not on a geopolitical battleground, but in a judo studio surrounded by a group of awestruck children. He's demonstrating a judo throw, explaining the technique with the patience of a seasoned sensei. And who better to practice on than an eager young volunteer? The kid, eyes wide with a mix of excitement and terror, steps forward. Putin, with a playful grin, guides the child through the move, emphasizing the importance of leverage and balance. And then with a gentle toss, down goes the student. The look on that kid's face, priceless. It's a reminder that even the most powerful man in the room can still appreciate the simple joy of teaching a kid a thing or two about self-defense, or at least how to theatrically fall down. Number 4, the guardians of diplomacy. A silent exchange of respect. The world of international diplomacy isn't all handshakes and photo ops. Behind the scenes, there's a silent army of highly trained professionals tasked with ensuring the safety and security of their respective leaders. And when it comes to the bodyguards of powerful figures, few are as stoic and imposing as those charged with protecting Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping. In this intriguing clip, we witness a rare glimpse into this world. A silent acknowledgement between the bodyguards of these two global powerhouses. As Putin and Xi engage in talks, their security details stand watch, their eyes constantly scanning the surroundings. But for a brief moment, amidst the tension and formality, a subtle exchange takes place, a nod of respect, a shared glance of understanding between two individuals who understand the weight of their responsibility. It's a reminder that even in the high-stakes world of global politics, professionalism and mutual respect can still prevail. Number 5, Dancing with the Tsar, Bush's unexpected Russian jig. 2008, a simpler time, some might say, a time when the biggest scandal involving a US president dancing was, well, this, in a move that could only be described as peak George W. Bobby Bush. The former US president was caught on camera cutting a rug to a traditional Russian folk song. And who's watching with a mixture of amusement and bemusement in the background? None other than Vladimir Putin. This footage, initially kept under wraps, resurfaced years later, adding a touch of levity to Putin's 20th anniversary in power. It's a bizarre, unexpected moment that perfectly encapsulates the often awkward dance between world leaders. Bush, clearly enjoying himself, throws some shapes that would make even the most seasoned dancer cringe. Putin, meanwhile, watches with an expression that could be interpreted as either amusement or mild horror. It's a reminder that even in the world of international diplomacy, sometimes you just gotta dance like nobody's watching, even if someone very much is. Number 6, Conor McGregor learns don't cage Putin's personal space. Conor McGregor, the notoriously outspoken UFC fighter, is known for his trash talking, his swagger, and his tendency to push boundaries. But even McGregor learned that there are some lines you just don't cross, especially when you're standing next to Vladimir Putin. The setting was the 2018 World Cup final in Russia. McGregor, perhaps feeling a bit too confident, casually drapes his arm around Putin for a photo op. Big mistake. Before McGregor can even process what's happening, a stern-looking security official swoops in, firmly removing McGregor's arm and uttering a few choice words that likely made the fighter reconsider his life choices. McGregor, to his credit, looks appropriately chastened, his usual bravado replaced with a deer-in-the-headlights expression. It's a valuable lesson learned. When it comes to Putin, personal space is not just a suggestion, it's practically a matter of national security. Number 7, silence is golden, Putin's anthem etiquette lesson. Vladimir Putin is a man who commands respect, especially when it comes to matters of Russian national pride. And nothing embodies that pride more than the Russian national anthem. So when a talkative host at an event failed to observe proper anthem etiquette, Putin stepped in to deliver a swift and silent lesson in decorum. As the anthem began to play, the host, oblivious to the gravity of the moment, continued chatting away. Putin, with a look that could curdle vodka, shoots the host a glare that could only be interpreted as shut it down. The host, immediately sensing the shift in atmosphere, goes silent, his face draining of all color. The message was clear. When the Russian anthem is playing, the only appropriate response is respectful silence. It was a subtle yet powerful reminder of Putin's unwavering patriotism and his no-nonsense approach to anything he perceives as disrespectful to his country. Number 8, a ride fit for supreme leader. Putin's Horus diplomacy. Diplomacy, as they say, is the art of letting someone else have your way. And what better way to steer a fellow world leader in the right direction than with a chauffeured ride in a brand new Russian-made luxury car? That's precisely what Vladimir Putin did when he hosted North Korean leader Kim Jong-un in 2019. The car in question? The Horus Sonata, a sleek and imposing limousine designed to rival the likes of Rolls-Royce and Bentley. Putin, ever the proud patriot, personally drove Kim around the grounds of the Far Eastern Federal University campus, showcasing Russia's automotive prowess. Now, some might see this as a simple gesture of hospitality. But knowing Putin, it's hard not to view it through the lens of strategic symbolism. After all, what better way to subtly assert Russia's growing influence than by chauffeuring a fellow world leader around in a symbol of Russian luxury and engineering? Number 9, Putin's whiteboard masterpiece, doodling with the Tsar. Even world leaders need a creative outlet. For Vladimir Putin, that outlet seems to be doodling slightly terrifying smiley faces on electric whiteboards. Yes, you read that right. In 2023, during a visit to a Moscow school, Putin decided to leave his mark. And no, we're not talking about a strongly worded letter to the headmaster. With a mischievous glint in his eye, Putin approaches the whiteboard and proceeds to draw a smiley face that could only be described as unconventional. It's got the usual circular head, the beady eyes, but the smile, oh, that smile. It's less of a cheerful grin and more of a menacing grimace. Like a shark that just learned it won the lottery. Was it intentional? A subconscious glimpse into Putin's psyche? Or maybe he just really needs to work on his smiley face game. Whatever the reason, it's a bizarrely endearing moment that reminds us that even the most powerful man in the world has a quirky side. Number 10, Ice Ice Oopsy. Putin's not so graceful spill. Vladimir Putin, the man who rides horses shirtless and wrestles bears in his spare time, probably, is not someone you typically associate with clumsiness. But even the most physically adept among us have their off days, as Putin demonstrated during a rather unfortunate incident at an ice hockey game. Picture this, it's 2014, the Winter Olympics are in full swing in Sochi, and Putin, clad in full hockey gear, takes to the ice for a victory lap. After a game, he waves to the cheering crowd, basking in the glow of victory. And then it happens. His feet, seemingly with a mind of their own, decide to go on a brief, unscheduled vacation, sending Putin tumbling to the ice with a resounding thud. The crowd gasps, the cameras zoom in, and for a brief moment, the world holds its breath. But Putin, ever the pro, pops right back up, brushes himself off, and continues waving as if nothing happened. Hey, at least he can laugh at himself. Or at least we assume he can. It's hard to tell with that whole stoic Russian thing he's got going on. Number 11. As Putin and Abbas walked surrounded by a throng of security personnel and journalists, but in a move that surprised even seasoned Putin watchers, he stopped, bent down, and held up a fallen Palestinian soldier and put on his cap during his visit. Number 12, Judo mastered Putin's unexpected takedown. Vladimir Putin's love for Judo is no secret. He's been practicing the martial arts since he was a teenager, even earning a black belt and co-authoring a book on the subject. But even the most seasoned Judo masters can get caught off guard, as Putin learned during a 2000 trip to Japan. While visiting the Kodokan Judo Institute in Tokyo, Putin, eager to show off his skills, agreed to a friendly sparring session. His opponent? A young girl, barely taller than his waist. Now, on paper, this seemed like a mismatch of epic proportions. But in a twist worthy of a Hollywood action movie, the young girl, using Putin's momentum against him, executes a flawless throw, sending the Russian president tumbling to the mat. The crowd gasps, Putin lets out a hearty laugh, and the young girl beams with pride. It's a reminder that even in the world of martial arts, underestimating your opponent, regardless of age or size, can have humbling consequences. Plus, it's always good for a laugh, especially when the person on the receiving end of the takedown is a world leader, known for his tough guy persona. Number 13. Leaders of two of the world's most powerful nations decided to bond over a hot griddle and some batter. The year was 2018. The setting was the Eastern Economic Forum in Vladivostok, and the atmosphere was surprisingly, well, cozy. Putin, clad in a casual jacket, manned the griddle like a seasoned short-order cook, flipping blinis with practiced ease. They shared a laugh, they shared a meal, and for a brief moment, the complexities of global politics seemed to fade away, replaced by the simple act of two leaders enjoying a shared culinary experience. It was a reminder that even amidst the high-stakes world of international diplomacy, sometimes the best way to build bridges is through a shared love of good food and good company. Number 14, Canine Diplomacy Part 2, Putin's Furry ambassador. Remember Conor, Putin's trusty Labrador, who terrified Angela Merkel back in 2007? Well, Conor wasn't Putin's only canine companion to grace the world stage with her presence. In 2016, during a meeting with two Japanese journalists, Putin decided to introduce his other furry friend, an Akita Inu named Yume. Now Yume, unlike her more diplomatic counterpart Conor, was not exactly known for her diplomacy. In fact, she had a bit of a reputation for being, shall we say, spirited. And true to form, Yume did not disappoint. As the journalists entered the room, Yume, clearly unimpressed by their credentials, greeted them with a cacophony of barks and growls, her tail wagging furiously. The journalists, caught off guard by the canine greeting party, could only laugh nervously as Putin, with a twinkle in his eye, attempted to wrangle his overzealous companion. It was a reminder that even the most carefully orchestrated diplomatic encounters can be derailed by the unpredictable antics of a four-legged friend. Number 15. In the world of high-stakes politics and international diplomacy, it's easy to forget that world leaders are, at their core, human beings with their own personal histories and emotional connections. Vladimir Putin, despite his often stoic demeanor, is no exception. And in this heartwarming clip, we witness a rare glimpse into that personal side of the Russian president. The setting is the Kremlin, the year is 2018, and Putin is about to meet a very special guest, his former primary school teacher, Vera Gurevich. As Putin enters the room, his face breaks into a genuine smile, a stark contrast to his usual serious expression. He embraces Gurevich warmly, and for a moment the years seem to melt away. The details of their conversation remain private, but the emotions speak volumes. The warmth in Putin's eyes, the gentle way he speaks to Gurevich, the shared laughter, it's clear that this is a reunion filled with genuine affection and respect. It's a reminder that even the most powerful people in the world carry with them the profound impact of those who shaped their early lives. Number 17. In 2019, when he joined Ramzan Kadyrov, the head of the Chechen Republic, for a rather unusual outing. The setting was a shooting range in Grozny, the capital of Chechnya, and The participant of honor was none other than Adam Kadyrov's teenage son. As Adam took aim at the targets, Putin, ever the watchful mentor, stood by his side, offering words of encouragement and guidance. The symbolism of this event was hard to miss. By personally involving himself in Adam's target practice, Putin sent a clear message of support for Kadyrov and his family, solidifying the bond between the Kremlin and the Chechen Republic. It was a reminder that in the world of power politics, personal relationships and demonstrations of loyalty can be just as potent as any treaty or agreement. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, known for his charismatic personality and penchant for breaking down diplomatic barriers, is no stranger to a good photo op. But even Trudeau learned that there are limits to how close you should get to Vladimir Putin, both literally and figuratively. The setting was the 2016 G20 summit in Hangzhou, China. As world leaders gathered for the traditional family photo, Trudeau, eager to shake Putin's hand, approached the Russian president with a smile. However, either due to a miscalculation of personal space or a momentary lapse in judgment, Trudeau got a little too close for comfort. Trudeau, momentarily startled, but a diplomat, simply chuckled and moved on. It was a subtle yet firm reminder that when it comes to Putin, personal boundaries are not to be trifled with. Number 18, the Helsinki Huddle, decoding Putin and Trump's body language. The 2018 Helsinki Summit, a meeting between two of the world's most powerful and unpredictable leaders, was an event that captivated global attention. And amidst the speculation, the analysis, and the endless commentary, one image stood out: a photo of Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump engaged in a seemingly intense conversation. In this photo, Putin, with his signature stoic expression, leans in close to Trump, who listens intently. Body language experts had a field day dissecting every gesture, every glance, every micro expression. Was Putin asserting dominance? Was Trump hanging on to every word? Or was it simply two world leaders and they engaged in a serious conversation? The truth, as is often the case with these carefully staged encounters, likely lies somewhere in between. But regardless of the specific interpretations, one thing was clear: the dynamic between Putin and Trump was complex, layered, and always fascinating to observe. Putin's unexpected joyride with Modi. Diplomacy takes many forms: treaties, trade agreements, strongly worded letters. But sometimes the most effective form of diplomacy involves a vintage car and a spin around Moscow. That's precisely what transpired when Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Russia in 2019. Putin, known for his love of all things automotive and his penchant for grand gestures, decided to treat Modi to a personal tour of Moscow and his prized possession, a vintage Soviet-era Gazi 21 Volga. As they cruised through the streets of Moscow, Putin at the wheel of the classic car and Modi enjoying the unexpected sightseeing tour, engaged in animated conversation. This gesture, a blend of nostalgia, personal passion, and diplomatic finesse, spoke volumes about the warm relationship between Russia and India.